Ladies and gentlemen, today we have the distinct privilege of hosting Bill Olet, a luminary in the world of entrepreneurship and innovation. Bill is the managing director of the Morton Trust Center for MIT Entrepreneurship and a senior lecturer at the MIT and Sloan School of Management. With over 25 years of business experience, Bill has a rich background that spans his early days at IBM to becoming a successful serial entrepreneur. He has founded or co-founded several companies, including Cambridge Decision Dynamics and Sensible Technologies, the latter of which was recognized for its groundbreaking work in 3D touch technology. Bill is perhaps best known for his seminal book, Disciplined Entrepreneurship, 24 Steps to a Successful Startup, which has become a cornerstone text in entrepreneurship education worldwide. His methodological approach demystifies the startup process, providing actionable guidance that has empowered countless entrepreneurs to turn innovative ideas into successful ventures. Bill is also a passionate educator and mentor. His commitment to fostering the next generation of entrepreneurs is evident in his dynamic teaching style and his ability to bridge academic theory with real-world application. Please join me in welcoming Bill Olet as he shares his invaluable insights into the disciplined approach required for entrepreneurial success in today's rapidly evolving business landscape. Bill, I'll leave it to you to get us going. Thanks.
Well, thank you very much, Christopher. It's a pleasure to be here with Captains of Innovation at the Cambridge Innovation Center. And salam alaikum to all my friends in Saudi and specifically KFUPM. It's been my pleasure to work with people from KFUPM for decades now. They've really been a leader in entrepreneurship, but a leader in the past doesn't guarantee you anything going forward. Right now, the field has changed so rapidly that I think it's imperative that we talk about what's changing. And if you're holding on to the past, that's not a good thing. You want to be looking forward to what's happening because it's dramatic. So let me just kind of go through what I talk about related to the entrepreneurial mindset and thinking about transformational innovation. So the purpose of this, what we're going to talk about today is, first of all, you can learn entrepreneurship. You can. We have clear evidence of that and data to show, the more times you're an entrepreneur, the more likely you are to be successful. The people who come out of our program are much more successful. And we see it with our own eyes, but we have the data to prove it. Entrepreneurship can be taught. We'll talk about how it should be taught and effectively taught, but it can be taught. The second thing I want to say is that entrepreneurship is not something that's taught to a specific group of people. Every human being is an entrepreneur. In fact, the Prophet Muhammad's wife was an entrepreneur. And you can go back to the beginning of time. It is a Darwinian selection process that when people were faced with extinction or death or making trading or providing services to people, they did the latter. They became entrepreneurial. So everyone is an entrepreneur. It can be taught. It's a Darwinian selection process. What we really need to do is bring it out of you, and that's what we're going to talk about now. But before we just jump into entrepreneurship, the first rule of solving a problem, as you know well at KFUPM, the first rule of engineering is define your terms. What exactly do we mean by entrepreneurship? And what we mean by entrepreneurship is someone or a group of people who come in and there's nothing there and they create a new entity that is economically sustainable to solve some problem, to realize some opportunity. That sounds very simple, but it's very important. An entrepreneur comes in, creates a new organization that solves some problem, that creates, that realizes some opportunity in an economically sustainable way. That, by the way, can be a for-profit or a not-for-profit. And what's key here is that this new organization that's created by an entrepreneur creates value for someone and it captures value from someone. That is, it helps someone make money or realize some benefits, but it also extracts some rent for that. And that rent that it extracts exceeds the costs of continuing to run the organization on an ongoing basis. This is an exercise in using the power of markets, capitalism, for a positive good. So if we look at that, you and Saudi would know well, when people say entrepreneurship, when I first came over there, they would immediately funnel me to the minister of SME, small medium enterprise. And that certainly is a form of entrepreneurship. That can be a restaurant, a nail salon, a dry cleaner, your tourist services or something like that. These are all entities that are set up that support, they're economically sustainable because they create value for someone to extract value. But I want to focus that SME is one type of entrepreneurship. We'll talk about another one, but SME has a certain, system design. It has certain characteristics that are determined by the nature of it. And that is a system that has low inertia. The SMEs, as I said, are focused on local markets, and they don't put a lot of innovation into it. They just provide a service to people who want it. Now, in the local market, they can't export that to Europe, the United States, Asia, but they provide a service like haircuts or food or, beauty, but you can't export it. And what that means here is if you think of a dentist. A dentist is someone who provides a service to someone. They clean their teeth, they replace it. They are going to work on people in the local neighborhood. And if that dentist has a backlog and they feel like, well, I can grow, they can run a quick experiment to see if that's true by getting another chair, hiring another dental assistant, and then they'll see their revenue increase. And it will increase, based on how many more hours they work, how many bodies they throw at it. And that's why we call this a service business. And that business is fundamental to any economy like the Saudi economy. It provides non-transferable, geographically distributed jobs. But as we look at this, that system has low inertia. By that, I mean, if you push it, it moves quickly. There's the time between when you run an experiment and see the results is relatively short. And when it grows in a linear way. It grows in a linear way, excuse me. And then it's capped at some point. Now, why is it capped? Because you can't export. It's a local market. But it requires less investment because you try an investment. If it works, you keep it. If it doesn't, you pull it back. If it works, you try more. This having low inertia is a very good thing for an entrepreneur. These SMEs tend to be, owned by the family or the founder in total. There can be family-owned businesses. Again, they're great, but what we're going to talk about is innovation-driven enterprise, IDE entrepreneurship, which produces a product, and a product can be, by the way, a replicatable service that can be exported to other places. So I can have impact. I can make money while I'm sleeping. I don't need to be out there working every day. I don't need to hire people to do that. I can have people downloading a bucket of bits that I put up there of software, or I can have my plant shipping, widgets to the world, because I have created a product with innovation that people want. So this organization is creating value beyond the local markets and extracting value beyond the local markets. And that clearly has benefits to it because its growth is going to be uncapped. It's going to be higher because the markets are much bigger. And you can see how this can go up much higher. But it also can grow much faster because once you have a product, you don't have to throw human bodies at it and work more hours. You can just, again, download that bucket of bits, increase your production. And so it grows faster. It can also be something that has a higher growth potential. But there's also some other factors on this that we really need to take into consideration. And one of those is that it has inertia to it. If I try to run an experiment, I think, oh, the market wants this product. I have to spend a lot of time and money to develop that product before I can actually see if it's accepted by the market. So there's this kind of dip at the beginning, which creates the inertia, which is much more pronounced than the one on the left. You could say, well, there's some on the left. Yes, there is, but I'm simplifying this. And the one on the right, it takes a dip, and that is very important because that's what creates the inertia. You don't know because you've got to invest in your innovation, you've got to invest in the product. But when it comes out and it works, it gives you this land of milk and honey where you're growing exponentially and it's uncapped. So that seems very good, but it requires that investment. But that investment doesn't guarantee that you're going to work either. So this little dip in here that I call the innovation and product development debt does not mean you're going to succeed. It is often called the valley of death because the experiments you're running, you're still spending money and you don't know whether they're going to work because that time between you run the experiment, see the results. So we love SME entrepreneurs. We love IDE entrepreneurs. What we're going to focus here is on IDE entrepreneurs because that's what fundamentally solves the world's problems today. That's what changes economies. And that's what you at KFUPM should really be thinking about because you're focused on innovation.